views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
And hello and welcome to Open, the one and only show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I'm your host, Daren, Jaime, and today we're going to update you on what's happening in and around our borough. Coming up on today's show, we update you on the latest in politics. And after that, about 1 in 9 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer during their lifetime. This, according to the American Cancer Society. We'll talk about testing, treatment, and who's at risk of developing this disease. Later, the traveling Jewburys, the Rockin 8-piece band who called the Northwest Bronx village of Riverdale their home. Well, they're going to tell us about their upcoming presentations. And afterwards, we'll talk to the founders of a film series called Vision, a story that explores behavior and self-determination of the human condition. And then a little bit later on, a Bronx Latino designer will be paying tribute to the culture of Puerto Rico with his fall and winter line. We're going to see a preview of his designs a little later on in the show. And then finally, Loving the Bronx is a grassroots organization dedicated to community building through the use of parks, open spaces, and waterways. And we're going to tell you about their latest event. So stay tuned because all this and much more is heading your way because right now we're officially open. And hello, everyone. I'm your host, Daren Jaime, and today is Wednesday, August the 8th. Of course, you're watching Open, a live program bringing the Bronx and New York City straight to your TV set. We also want to welcome our viewers on Manhattan Neighborhood Network, as Open is now being broadcast live simultaneously on the MNN channel. We encourage you, get connected to us. And how do you do that? Well, you can find out more about us at Twitter at BronxNet TV and Facebook at Open BronxNet Television. Well, a lot has certainly been going on throughout the past week, and we're going to take you now to some Bronx updates. Well, family and friends of Lisandro Jr. Guzman Feliz will be coming together to sponsor a Stop the Violence Back to School event. Free school supplies, food, entertainment, games, and much more will be available to the public. Now, Lisandro Jr. Guzman Feliz was brutally murdered inside a Bronx bodega by a gang of men in a case of mistaken identity that took both the Bronx and New York City to heart. Now, school supplies can be donated at 488 East 164th Street, or for more information, you can call 718-842-8100. Let's get together as a community to stop and heal the violence on Saturday, August the 11th at Bathgate Playground, located at 2130 Washington Avenue in the Bronx, and that's going to take place from 10 to 5 p.m. Well, Culture Pass is a new culture provided by the New York Public Library, as well as the Brooklyn and Queens library systems, allowing cardholders the opportunity to attend places like the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Air and Space Museum, as well as the Intrepid with no extra cost. Now, the program debuted on July 16th and currently has 34 participating organizations. Cardholders can log on to culturepass.nyc to reserve a specific date and a time that they want to attend the museum or the garden, or they can borrow up to 4 passes. Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Queens have a number of locations taking part in the Culture Pass, like the Brooklyn Botanical Garden and the Museum of Modern Art. But here in the Bronx, only Wave Hill is participating, for now at least. So to learn more a little bit about the story, visit theriverdale.com. In other news, the Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation has announced the annual free Learn to Swim program is expected to reach approximately 3,000 children this summer at 27 parks across New York State. Now, enrollment for the Learn to Swim program remains open at many participating state parks. programs are free and pre-registration is required. Now, the 2018 Learn to Swim season includes hundreds of individual classes taught for all ages and levels, from swim lessons to water safety presentations, and that's at 27 locations across the state. Now, space is limited and programs do fill up quickly. Each swim program is about 40 to 45 minutes in duration, and participants who complete the lessons will receive a Red Cross Learn to Swim Achievement booklet, as well as a State Parks Learn to Swim kit that includes a knapsack, t-shirt, and a water bottle. And if you want more information, you want to know about the schedules, you want to know how to sign up, all you got to do is go to the Learn to Swim page at NewYorkCityGovParks.org. And to read more about this event, go to thebronxfreepress.com. Well, that's all we have for Bronx Updates. Stay with us. We got more show coming up after this, including our political roundup.
I guess sometimes things just happen. Devastating things. Your whole world changes in an instant. That's what happened to me the day my mother had a stroke. I'm Paul George, and I want you to spot a stroke fast. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. Protect the ones you love. Spot a stroke fast.
Behold, the angry giant. Behold, the angry giant. Behold, the angry giant. Behold, the angry giant. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Well, Thomas, you've got pre-diabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have pre-diabetes. Big time.
For all the papas out there, let's stop what we're doing and take a moment. A moment to be with our kids. They can be loud moments, goofy moments, sporty moments, dorky moments, kooky moments. Moments where we talk or walk or just hang out. It doesn't really matter. They all count, because every time dads take a moment to be with their kids, well, it's pretty momentous. So let's all take a moment to make a moment today.
And we are back here on Open. President Donald Trump has reimposed the sanction against Iran, warning other countries about doing business with them. Now, what does this mean for the United States? Plus, a major election yesterday, and our political analyst Lee Bynes is here to talk a little bit about that. Let's break down this election. Stay close to home for a minute. We're still talking about this morning. As of right now, no clear winner in this major election that a lot of people feel could sway what's happening in November.
Well, you know what? This, as tight as it was, I'm looking at the numbers because everything it's in the numbers at 50.2% versus O'Connor, who got 49.3.
And I'm sorry, listen to our viewers. I'm sorry about the Ohio elections.
Right.
I'm sorry.
We're talking about
right?
Ohio, specifically the 12th district. Now, this should have been a slam dunk, quite frankly, for the Republicans, the GOP. But there's a wave coming, and that's what we're talking about. Now, whereas the Republican did actually is leading right now at 1,700 votes. The count is still open because there's over 8,000 people that's still left to be counted.
And absentee ballots.
Absentee ballots and provisional ballots, ballots that are still out there. So it's going to be about 10 days before we know the true extent of what happened last night. However, the president has already didn't take more than a second to take credit for the win, out there saying that if it wasn't for him, this may not have happened. But again, Donald Trump won this back in won this district back in 2016 by 11 points. In 2012, Mitt Romney won it by 10. So for this to be such a close call in a district that is ruby red, but not only ruby red, it's 89 point something % white. So there shouldn't have been much of a lift for the
Right.
Republicans just to pull this thing off, but they did. Now, where a lot of people on the Democratic side or the left side could take heart in what happened last night, even if they actually don't get the win, they proved that they could come pretty damn close in Republican territory. That should put the fear of God or the fear of God into Donald Trump, because if this is any indication of what's going to happen in November,
Right.
he's looking at efforts to impeach him.
And
That's
let's
a
talk,
fact.
well, let's talk about November for a minute. Midterm elections, we know that usually you don't get a high voter turnout a lot of times during midterm elections. But with the Manafort trial going, with all that's going on right now,
With
and
Russia, the tariffs,
right.
the sanctions.
Are we
et cetera.
expecting more people really coming out in the midterm elections? And was yesterday's election really a precursor to what we could expect?
I think it was pretty much indicated that this November situation is going to be a referendum on Donald Trump. He has made a significant amount of enemies with most communities here in the United States, specifically the African American community. If you think of what happened down in Georgia, where they were able to get out the vote amongst the African American community, that's what put the Democrats over the top in Georgia. And this is something that could replicate itself throughout the country simply because of the fact that Donald Trump has gone out of his way to insult people of color, specifically African Americans, with regards to the intellectual factor. It's out there. He's throwing this red meat out there to folks. They're buying it. But that's the type of thing that can motivate a lot of people of color to get out and vote against him. The whole issue with Maxine Waters calling her low IQ, the issue with Don Lemon and LeBron James calling them
right, which is where I was headed, because when you talk about an NBA star like LeBron James, super celebrity, he opens up a school.
Yes.
And literally faces criticism from the President of the United States. Now, admittedly, LeBron James has criticized the President before, but when you look at the President taking on people consistently, some say that you're poking the bear, and you're poking the bear at the wrong time, because November is right here.
around the corner. Yep, exactly. And not only that, he got a little pushback from the family. His wife, Melania, actually came out and said that, no, she disagrees. LeBron James is doing great things. He's a good father figure. He's, a man of his word. He's a philanthropist. He's been doing a lot of good things in the community. So for her to push back like that, to give her husband a little something extra to think about, that was pretty interesting. It was pretty interesting. But again, I'd like to add the following caveat to what I just said as far as November is concerned, because Tom Perez was on CNN this morning, and they were talking about, they were trying to get him to explain what this really meant. And they were actually brought out the fact that O'Connor indicated that he was definitely not looking forward to Nancy Pelosi leading the party down the line. When they tried to get Perez to give his take on that, he dodged the question in every possible way he could. He talked about, the general talking points. We're going to be working towards health care to make sure that we get that. We're going to make sure that the Social Security and Medicare is taken care of, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But he would not address the fact that there is that chasm, that divide, that gap between the Democrats and the progressive wing of the party.
Well, here in the Bronx, we're a predominantly Democratic, borough.
Right.
When you look at the fact of what's happening across America right now, more people are seeming to come out to the polls voting Democratic. A lot has been said about whether or not the Democrats have crafted a better message. And I know that gets you up, but the message cannot solely be anti-Trump if you want to be able to win in 2020.
Well, you're absolutely right about that. But again, it also comes down to leadership as well. And we're talking about a lot of these progressives. These people on the younger side of the scale. O'Connor, who came close to winning last night, is 31 years old. The young lady, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, 28 years old. Now, this is the next generation, and
this is the generation.
Right. This is the generation that's going to be moving a lot of these folks, in my category, out of the way. And we should be happy to lead. We should be coaching. We should be teaching. We should be building a bench, and that's what Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer has failed to do. They have not built a bench to move this thing forward because of that chasm. The fact that we have the traditional executive, the level, the donor base driven part of the Democratic Party, as opposed to the more liberal wing, who are looking for not just health care. They're looking for universal health care. They're looking for the single payer. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for $15 an hour, a living wage. These people are talking about free college tuition as opposed to just tweaking it. Now, if you want to bring this down to a local level again, we were talking about Cynthia Nixon last week versus Governor Cuomo, and the big lead that he has, 2-1 right now. He's got a substantial amount of money in his pocket. However, if she doesn't win, what she has done is dragged him closer to her side of the aisle. She's pushed him further to the left.
You believe that?
I've been seeing commercials showing up right now where he's looking at legalizing marijuana. He's looking at ways to bring free education to New Yorkers. He's got a plan out there. And a lot of these things he wasn't talking about until he's been pushed to do this. So whatever happens, Democrats, and it's going to, let's face it, no matter what happens in November, it's going to be a Democrat running New York State. And so that's where we are. That's where we are right now.
And so let's go really quickly. I got a few seconds left. We led talking about Iran.
Yes.
And so give us the quick update with Iran and your take.
Huge. The president is coming out threatening Europe and anybody else, because Europe, when they got the word that the president was going to slap the sanctions back on, this is just the first step. That's the first set of them that started this week. In November, that's when they attacked banking and the energy markets. There's a lot of pushback because the European Union, they have something called the blocking statute, and what they will do is try and do whatever they can to protect their businesses from any repercussions from the Trump administration when the major sanctions go into effect. How much they're going to be able to do that and put up resistance is difficult to say right now, because a lot of the major players that were doing business in Iran has already taken steps to run for the exits, because they don't want to get caught losing American business to work with in Tehran. However, Tehran has weapons of their own. The Chinese are going to come to their aid because they've already started putting in their orders to get that oil. The same thing with India, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So down the line, it's going to be a give and take type of thing. The Trump administration, believe it or not, has already kind of wavered a bit, talking about that. Oh, I may talk to you guys without any preconditions, as well as offering certain entities an out, whereas there'll be exceptions. So we'll see how many exceptions there really are.
Yeah, we're going to see. All right, Lee Bonds, that's why we bring you in. Thank you so much. And,
yes, my pleasure to be here.
Lee Bonds, thanks much.
I'll shake your good hand later.
Stay with us. We got more show coming up after this, and we're going to be talking about prostate cancer. We want to bring you some awareness, some information, things that you need to know. We're coming right back. We'll be back in a few.
Cheru has no choice. She and millions like her walk miles a day for dirty water. But together, we can end their walk by providing clean water close by. Instead of spending hours walking to get water that makes them sick, girls can be in a classroom, and moms will gain back time to care for their families. Sons and daughters can grow up strong, finally free of sicknesses. It's true. When you just add water, you change a life. Learn more at worldvision.org.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund breeding.
No.
Let me try. Sarah's bright, but when she's reading, she has trouble sounding out words.
Playing world music.
What?
I give up.
Wait, I was trying to show you how Sarah feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
For all the papas out there, let's stop what we're doing and take a moment. A moment to be with our kids. They can be loud moments, goofy moments, sporty moments, dorky moments, kooky moments, moments when we talk or walk or just hang out. It doesn't really matter. They all count because every time dads take a moment to be with their kids, well, it's pretty momentous. So let's all take a moment to make a moment today.
And we are back here on Open. About 1 in 9 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer during their lifetime. And about 6 in 10 cases diagnosed are men ages 65 or older. Here to discuss the topic with us is Dr. Alexander Sankin, urologist and assistant professor of urology at Montefiore. And welcome and thank you for joining us here on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
A lot of men, of course, are talking about this topic. And when you hear the numbers 1 in 9, I mean, those are really some serious numbers. How serious is prostate cancer in the community these days?
Sure. So as you mentioned, it is a very common disease among men. There will probably be about over 200,000 new diagnoses of prostate cancer this year in the United States. But it's important to know that not everybody with prostate cancer will die from prostate cancer. It's a very treatable disease. In fact, only about 5% of men with prostate cancer will eventually die from it. And that's because oftentimes it's picked up early when it's still treatable. And we have lots of effective treatment options for it.
And so who is really at risk? Because when we talk about men, we know that men are the ones, but what age gap, is there age race? What are we saying?
So it's usually older men. I think about age 65 is the average age of diagnosis. And then men that are at particularly high risk would be men that are African American and men with a strong family history of prostate cancer. So if you have a father or grandfather or even a brother or uncle that had prostate cancer, you would be at high risk yourself.
And so let's talk about diagnosis. Once a person is diagnosed, of course, there's that great fear factor that comes in. Cancer is a scary word for anybody. What's the process then after a person is diagnosed with prostate cancer?
Right. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to have an in-depth discussion with your doctor. And once you're diagnosed with prostate cancer, we do what's called a staging workup. And so staging is another way of saying determining how extensive that cancer is. So this usually involves some sort of imaging, either a CAT scan or an MRI, possibly a bone scan as well. And then we're determining if the cancer has spread beyond the prostate yet. If it has not spread beyond the prostate, then there are multiple different treatment options for you. And in fact, many men will have prostate cancer that doesn't even necessarily need to be treated. But this is an important discussion to have with your doctor.
And so when you talk about being treated, obviously a big thing that a lot of people are worried about, because treatment is, you know, is it a chemotherapy? Is it this? Talk about the various kinds of treatment and being able to deal with that.
So if the cancer looks like it has not spread and it's still within the prostate, the main types of treatment options that we have are surgery, which is removal of the prostate. This is usually done these days with a minimally invasive robotic approach. Or radiation. So radiation can either be external beam radiation or even radiation from the inside, little radioactive seeds that get placed into the prostate. There's also hormone therapy because prostate cancer is fueled by testosterone. So if you block testosterone, it actually will block the growth of prostate cancer most of the time. So hormone therapy plays an important role as well.
We talked a little bit about diagnosis, treatment. I want to talk about awareness because somebody out there is watching and saying, listen, what could I do to get better in the area of awareness and what steps do I take?
So I would say that, we typically approach screening for prostate cancer with a PSA test. And we adopt kind of a risk stratified approach for screening for prostate cancer. So if you are at high risk, again, African American or with a strong family history, it's probably advisable to speak to your doctor about getting a PSA test even as early as age 45, certainly by age 50. If you're at low risk, it's still worthwhile to get a PSA test, I believe, but maybe after age 50, age 55 or so.
And at one junction, we talked about treatment, and you said something about possibly it may not even need to be treated. Talk to us about that.
Right. So prostate cancer, it's not a one-size-fits-all, type of model. There's many different types of prostate cancer in terms of aggressiveness. So there is, typically we will categorize patients into low risk, intermediate risk, and high risk. And that's talking about the risk of it progressing, the risk of it spreading and even causing death. So if you have a low risk cancer, many times this can just be watched very closely because oftentimes it will not grow and it will not spread. But it does need to be watched very closely by you and your doctor.
How often should a person come to get checked out for prostate cancer?
Well, that's a good question. It's actually a very controversial topic right now. I would say certainly if you're at high risk to get a PSA test and a digital rectal exam by your doctor, probably as early as age 45. And based on what that PSA test is, it'll then determine if it's worthwhile to do a biopsy or to just follow you every couple of years with another PSA test.
Had a conversation with a gentleman talking specifically about prostate cancer. He said, listen, I'm good. I had a colonoscopy. So people feel, is a colonoscopy good enough?
No. So that's a very good question. I see it from patients all the time. A colonoscopy is a camera intended to detect colon cancer. That's a completely different type of cancer. The colonoscopy will not see the prostate. It's true that the prostate is very close to the rectum, but in order to detect prostate cancer, you need to have a PSA test and a biopsy specifically of the prostate.
Very good information there. So what are people doing nowadays in terms of getting the word out? I know you're working here at Montefiore. Talk about getting the word out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's important. Thank you for having me today to get the word out to the local Bronx community. Especially in the Bronx, we have a very high, population of African Americans, people that are at high risk. So I think it is very important for the community to be screened properly. And again, it's very easy to set up an appointment with your doctor, especially us at Montefiore. We have a very large department. There's 16 full-time faculty. Many of us are specializing in oncology, and absolutely speak to your doctor, set up an appointment.
And see where we go from there. All right, Dr. Alexander Sankin, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us. Very much needed information in regards to prostate cancer.
Thank you for having me.
All righty, we want you to stay with us as well. We've got more show coming up. Don't go away, we'll be right back.
Open up your books to page 360.
Did you just look at your phone while you was in class? You played yourself.
Talking about inspirational quotes.
Sunday.
You gotta believe in yourself. Don't ever play yourself. The key is to make it, so make it.
Louise, can you give me an example of an inspirational quote?
Don't play yourself. The key is to make it.
And who said that?
I did. Now that's a major key alert.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at getschool.com.
And welcome back. Rock, folk, soul, country, and jazz are just a part of the repertoire of the Traveling Jewburys, the rocking 8-piece band from the Northwest Bronx village of Riverdale. Now, here with us are Arthur Howlin Jewbury, Levy, and Deborah Loretta Jewbury, Lupkin-unger. And they're going to tell us they are performing this week, City Island. You got to check them out. Glad to have you.
Glad to be here.
Glad to be here, Daren.
Talk to us about this here. So the Traveling Jewburys.
Traveling Jewburys have been around since the early 2000s, and we play all over the place, play all over New York City, the Bitter End, and the Greenwich Village. We play the Upper West Side. We've played house concerts, outdoor shows. We're big proponents of MMNY, Make Music New York, the solstice gigs that happen around the city. 1,000 acts playing all over the city. So we do that every year. And
all over the 5 boroughs.
All over the 5 boroughs, right?
Yeah.
So Deborah is your official name, right? But you got this
Yes.
alias called Loretta Jewbury. So
Yeah, they gave me the name. I joined the band in 2014, and apparently they all need to have a Jewbury name, so that was what I was anointed.
That's good.
with.
That's
Yeah.
good. So how'd you come up with the name Jewbury, and where does it come from?
Well, you know, the Traveling Wilburys.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of adapted the Traveling Wilburys. We liked that sound, and one of the spouses of the band actually came up with the name the Traveling Jewburys because it's a little ethnic thing going on there.
Okay.
But we play rock, folk, R&B, blues, jazz, country, a lot of country.
And we're seeing a little bit of your on-stage performance right now as you speak, and you're coming out. For those who don't know, you know 2018 outdoor series of concerts at City Island, and they're playing at Hawkins Memorial Park on August the 12th, and it's right next to the Lickety-Split ice cream shop, and you guys are going to be out there. Talk to us about crowds. You know, you go to different places across the city. How is it in the Bronx compared to New York? Is there a difference? Can you notice a difference in crowds?
The crowds are great. We've played in Brooklyn, we play in Manhattan, we've played in Queens, we've played every place but Staten Island. So, and this
we gotta work on that.
Yeah, we
We're
got to work
hoping you
on
get there
Staten
right
Island.
now. Just Staten Island, you better pay attention.
Okay.
Right.
And we've played City Island before, and the crowds are always great. And, you know, there's a lot of walk-by traffic when you do these kind of outdoor gigs.
It has a real neighborhood feel that way, which is really kind of nice.
Right.
And we look forward to that because it's a community gig, and this is the last weekend of the series on City Island. So we're glad that they chose us to play.
And it's nice to be playing in the borough in which we live.
Right.
So that's a kind of nice way to close out the series and bring some music to our own borough.
It's always good to play in front of the hometown crew, but talk a little bit about your band, because you got an 8-piece band going with you as well.
Yes.
Well, we got a lot of guitars in the band.
Lots of guitars.
And we have, you know, bass player. We have a great saxophone player. We have percussionists, vocalists. We don't have a drummer. We don't have a keyboard player yet.
That makes us unique.
That means, are you recruiting? What's going on?
No.
Oh, you said yet. I was
Just
like,
point of information.
Oh, okay.
But who knows? Maybe someday we'll have a keyboard player or a drummer. But with 4 guitars wailing away in the band, we don't have any problems with rhythm or, you know, keeping the party going.
And with 2 people doing rhythm, I'm one of the people who does rhythm. We have a lot of different kinds of rhythm instruments that sort of make up for it.
So when I talk to you about, and I talk to the audience, I told them a little bit about you guys do rock, folk, soul, country, jazz. Is there a particular favorite amongst the band?
Each of the members, I would say, probably has his own favorite. Certainly, we have a saxophone player who loves to play some jazz. We play Cannonball Adderley's Work Song. We'll play St. James Infirmary Blues. We play blues. We play country. Loretta sings a couple of great country songs. She channels Patsy Cline.
She's really modest right now.
She channels Patsy Cline, and She's Got You, great old song. We play folk music. We play a lot of rock and a lot of rock and roll. A lot of rock and roll. We love New Orleans rock and roll. We'll play Frankie Ford's Sea Cruise. We'll play Rockin' Pneumonia and Boogie Woogie Flu. We love all the old masters. We play Chuck Berry. We'll play the Stones. We'll play Dylan. We'll play Johnny Cash. We'll play Hank Williams. And everything.
It's been great for me because I joined the band only, I think like 2014, and I did not have the same kind of background in all of these types of music. So now I get an education every time I go, and I learn something new, and I'll learn a new song and learn how to sing and perform a different genre of music, which I didn't have a chance to do before, it's really been great for me.
And Loretta's a quick learner. She's a quick learner.
She pick it up, huh?
She picks it up.
Well, let me tell you, our audience, if you want to check them out, listen, the 2018 series of Sunday outdoor concerts taking place at City Island, and all you got to do is come right across to the park, right across from the Lickety-Split ice cream shop, 295 City Island Avenue, and you will be able to hear the Traveling Jewburys. 2 o'clock.
From 2 to 4. Yeah.
Sure. So make sure you're there on time. Check them out, 2 o'clock. Great to have you.
Thank you for having us.
Best wishes.
This was great.
Thank you, Daren.
Praying for best weather. You guys go out there and enjoy.
Thank
you very much.
All righty. Listen, stay with us. More show coming up. Taking a quick break. We'll be back in a few.
You think getting dumped by text is harsh? Try getting dumped by a tennis ball. My ex-owner drove me out to the woods, yelled fetch, and by the time I brought the ball back, he was gone. Yeah, I was pissed. But the folks at the shelter helped me let go of my anger. I learned coping skills, like taking it to the hole. Boom! Now I'm ready to fetch again. But how about I throw and you run and get it?
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate. It's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
Leaving hot coals improperly extinguished can cause a wildfire.
Hey guys, it's Smokey!
It looks as if Smokey is going to use the drown, stir, drown, and feel technique. After the first drown, a good start. Next, another drink. And finally, a close feel.
Is it cool? Okay. Yeah. Hey Smokey, catch! Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Well, we want to thank you for staying with us. We want to tell you about Loving the Bronx. It's a grassroots organization dedicated to community building through the use of open parks, parks, open spaces, as well as waterways. And joining us now from the organization is Nilka Martell, who's the founder of Loving the Bronx. And thank you for Loving the Bronx.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
How's
you.
it going?
Good, good, good. Excited to be here again. Thank you very much for inviting us back.
Oh, glad to have you back. It's
Yes.
summer season, and you got a lot going on.
Absolutely, absolutely. This summer, this is our second year programming Virginia Park. Last year, we started a Fun Friday series at Virginia Park, which is located across the street from the Parkchester train station. So it is weekly themed events every Friday from 6 to 8 p.m. and a monthly movie night as well.
Wow. So if people don't know about Loving the Bronx, first of all, let's walk them back. Tell them who Loving the Bronx is.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, it is a grassroots organization. It's just a bunch of neighbors that come together to give back to the community, basically. So it was birthed in 2011. We functioned under another name at that time called GIVE, Getting Involved Virginia Avenue Efforts. Our first project was a block beautification project, which eventually stretched out to incorporate Virginia Park and Hugh Grant Circle. Then we started teaming up with a lot of other non-for-profits in the Bronx. And we decided, well, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on in the Bronx that people don't know about. You know, a lot of organizations that have been around for decades that people just don't know. You know, a lot of opportunities. There's really pretty much no reason for you to leave the Bronx if you want to do something cool. So, you know, we created Loving the Bronx, you know, to bring people together, but also get, you know, share that information with them, get them involved and engaged. And, you know, the ultimate purpose is community building.
And when you talk about community building, getting people invested back in their neighborhood, sometimes it's a hard thing to do, but you're doing a good job.
It is, it is. You know, what we find is, you know, we celebrate the Bronx's diversity. You know, it's one of the best things about living here in this borough. But, you know, with that comes a lot of challenges too, right? You have language barriers, you have people that have different religious beliefs. But when you look at a park, right, it's an open space, it's a gathering space. No one's gonna argue about a park, right? So, you know, not only do we do events in the park where they're just free community events for you to come out, but we also want you to develop that ownership. So, you know, packaged with these community events, we also do service projects. So, you know, when we have these events, you know, people come out from the community, all different, you know, different backgrounds, different walks of life, but they come out with the purpose of, you know, cleaning up a park, you know, and it does develop that ownership factor, you know, and you just, we all live in this densely populated borough. You could live in the same building for years and not know your neighbor.
Absolutely.
You know, so our premise is, you know, people gather in the park already, so, you know, let's just use that opportunity to bring people together.
So people are coming together. Let's talk about the different places and spaces they can come and gather coming up.
Well, we are always at Virginia Park every Friday at 6 to 8 p.m., but we do partner with other organizations to bring other events to the borough. This Saturday, we're having the first ever Run, Pedal, Paddle, highlighting the Bronx River. It is with the Bronx River Alliance and Bronx Soul. So really what it is, it's a running portion, a biking portion, and a paddling portion. And then we end at Hunts Point Riverside Park, and we have a big party at the Point's Art Campus located adjacent to Hunts Point Riverside Park. In September, we're also teaming up with the Friends of Van Cortlandt Park. This is the third year that we're teaming up with them for their Hiketoberfest. So usually we lead the tour in Van Cortlandt Park.
Oh, awesome. So now for people who want more information, how to get involved, what do they do?
You can follow us on Instagram or Facebook, Loving the Bronx. And we do have, if you come and you volunteer in one of our fall service projects, we do have some promotional items to give back. So it's not just, you coming and giving us your skills and your labor, but, we want to thank you as well.
So what can people do? I mean, when they take part in volunteering, what are some of the things they can actually do?
Well, we do park cleanups. We've planted over 5,000 daffodil bulbs in Virginia Park and Hugh Grant Circle, which is part of the New Yorkers for Parks 9/11 Living Memorial. It's called the Daffodil Project. So we'll do, different cleanups, different bulb plantings, and then we also team up with other friends group that adopt parks. So we take care of the trails at Pelham Bay Park. A lot of people don't realize that Pelham Bay Park is the largest New York City public park right here in our backyard. So we do maintain the trails out there. Sometimes we pull out weeds, sometimes we're mulching, but just come out, get involved.
Yeah, it's awesome. And so thank you so much for the work
Thank
that you're doing to
you.
keep
Thank
the Bronx
you.
good, loving the Bronx. People know how to get in touch with you now and definitely take part in the event. I wanted to give a little bit so we see a little bit of Loving the Bronx. Got the little
We got some
bag
swag.
here. Got some swag here, yeah. Got the water bottle. So when you're out there working, you can refresh yourself with Loving the Bronx.
Absolutely.
Nilka, thank you so much for coming and hanging out
Thank
with
you.
us.
Thank you, Daren.
All right, listen. Stay with us. Got more show. We do have more show. We're coming right back. Be right back in a few.
I'm only 17, but I know about investing. Believe in something, buy shares in it, watch it grow. So, what if you could invest in the future? The future of kids, like a stock. Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change. A whole new kind of investment called Better Futures. When you invest, it helps kids go to college. I could be one of the first college graduates from my family, the first philanthropist from my neighborhood. And if I'm the first, then maybe there's a second and a third. Believe in us, invest in us, watch us grow. My name is Sydney, and I'm your dividend.
And we are back here on Open. A Bronx Latino designer is paying tribute to the Puerto Rican culture with his fall and winter line, and going to tell us a little bit more about how he shows us his designs, his work, and his vision. And we're glad to have Edwin Reyes back one more time, and good to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So when we talk about this is something very special for you because this focuses, first of all, on Puerto Rico.
Yes, and for myself, I'm Puerto Rican too, so it's a very special show to me, and it means a lot. And as you said before, I'm paying tribute to those who died after Hurricane Maria and after those who are struggling now.
And people are still struggling,
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
over there as well. And so you decide to put together a show.
Yeah.
You know, and the show is definitely going to honor those from Puerto Rico. So talk about the show, talk about your models and what you got coming up.
Alrighty, so the show is about Puerto Rico, and the theme of the show is it's a fall-winter collection. So it's all winter clothing, but inspired by Puerto Rico and the landscape and the culture there. I will be having traditional dancing, traditional food, music, etc. The moment that you come in, it's going to be an experience and like kind of a trip to Puerto Rico.
So we have the opportunity to experience one of your models who's actually here, and we'll be able to see some of the things that are coming up. So let's take a look at your model and tell us about what we're going to see.
Alrighty.
So here she is.
Yes, so this is Samantha. She is wearing a modern version of a suit. It's very wide-legged and very light material. It's very comfortable, as you could tell, to wear, to go out, maybe have dinner, or, you know, out casually, too.
Yeah, I love blue.
Yeah.
And so talk to us about, you know, what else we'll see in the line. I mean, obviously, what is your, I want to say, what is your vision that you want people to be able to capture when they see this line?
I definitely want, when they see the line and also the show, I want people to experience Puerto Rico, even if you haven't been there, through my clothing, through the music, through the food, through dancing, and etc.
Yeah. How's it impacted you, Hurricane Maria?
It has impacted me a lot because I have family there as well. So I wanted to do something for those who I don't know, those who I do know, who live there as well. And I'm collecting donations as well, and a portion of ticket sales will go back to Puerto Rico for restoration purposes.
So for people who want to participate, come to the show. Before we get out of here, you got to tell them where to go and what to do.
So the show will be at The Point. It's 940 Garrison Avenue. They can find that on my Instagram at Find by Edwin Reyes or my website www.findbyedwinreyes.com.
Well, thank you so much, Edwin, for coming, and
thank you.
Wishing you the best wishes for your line, and certainly for those out there in Puerto Rico, because we know even today a lot of people are still struggling, and even though the cameras aren't out there as much, the work is still going on. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All righty, listen, got more open. Stay with us. Coming right back in a few.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made this vacation happen.
Double points with every purchase?
Cleverly merging promotions.
I love it.
Cross-referencing travel sites. And booking all your flights with those...
Vouchers. I got us bumped.
They were like, oh. But now they're like... Aloha. You aced this vacation. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
150 over 90.
180 over 111.
160 over 110. I had a stroke.
This is what high blood pressure looks like. You might not feel its symptoms, but the results from a stroke are far from invisible or silent. If you've come off your treatment plan, get back on it or talk with your doctor to create an exercise, diet, and medication plan that works for you. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
If I would have followed a treatment plan, I would not be in this situation.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, she's putting him in the same basket again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
And I can't change, even if I try, even if I wanted to. My love, she keeps me warm. 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 She keeps me warm.
We are neighbors and best friends.
I love my sister.
My heart doesn't see race. Love is love.
Our family is no less than any other family.
A film series exploring human behavior and attempting to enlighten viewers' minds through their characters' differences, as well as their turbulent life path. Well, telling us more about this project are filmmaker and founders Romeo Bartley and Imani Davidson, co-founders of Vision Productions NYC, and they join us here on the show, and good to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Glad. So Imani, tell us a little bit about this series here.
Well, we do want to call it just a series because we aim to have it on different platforms. Right now we're doing a YouTube channel, so you can check us out on YouTube. Just Vision Productions NYC, you type it in, you'll find us. We have about 6 episodes so far. 7 is coming very soon.
Okay.
So the series is basically to show viewers that, the choices that you make in your life are determined by you. Everyone has a different path, whether it's sports, whether it's not so legal. And there is a lot of entertainment factors in the series, and that's because at the end of the day, it's film. It's actually based off of Romeo's real life.
All right.
Some of it.
He said, I didn't clarify.
Some of it.
So talk about, so you take your life, it's parts of it, and you want to bring it to the screen.
Yeah. Growing up, my father wasn't in my life, so I had other people as guys that was around me who was doing things that I thought were cool. So as I got older, I kind of wanted to defer from that and be a man. But it took some time before I decided that what they were doing were wrong.
And so here it is. It plays out on screen a little bit, and now people have the opportunity to see it. So 6 episodes in, without giving it all away, what are people going to find?
Entertainment. And there's a lot of twists and turns. It's a series. We want to keep you on your toes.
Right.
So what you can find is that the characters are really developing their own personalities at this point. We wanted to give the viewers a chance to choose who their main character would be, someone that they can really relate to. Not to teach them to condone violence, but to show them if this is what you continue to do, this is what's gonna happen.
Right.
So it's just an opportunity for everyone to just be who they want to be or be who they don't want to be, and see it on film.
So Vision Productions, talk to us a little bit about future goals and what you guys want to do.
She likes to speak, so I do.
Well, you got to jump into that.
We really, honestly, we want to see it on the screen. YouTube is getting really big. I know that YouTube Red, the YouTube cable thing that's coming out now, we are utilizing YouTube. We want support. It's Bronx based. We want, the other boroughs to get involved, so we do film in different boroughs, Harlem, Brooklyn. We want people that maybe didn't see themselves as an actor to get that opportunity. People with original music or new rappers coming out, we want them to be able to promote their music in the series. So I always ask for original music.
Right.
So if you want original music in our series, you
Right.
can send an email.
So tell me this, how long does it take to put one episode together?
It really depends on
a lot of people who act in it because they work. So we try to work with people's schedule, but we normally try to come out like every 2 weeks an episode.
All right. Well, people can stay tuned. So they got to go to the YouTube channel to check you out. That information, of course, at the bottom of the screen, how you can actually check them out. And so we want to thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
Best
Thank
wishes.
you.
Bring you back a little bit later on in the season. Share with us a little bit more. Give us a little bit more insight.
You watch too.
I will do that. I will do that. All right. Well, listen, I want to tell you, we have come to the end of our show today. And got to thank all our guests for joining us. But most of all, I want to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in. Now, if you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the Recablecast at 5 and 10 p.m. on Optimus Channel 67, Verizon Fios Channel 33, or watch anytime on the web at bronxnet.org. Once again, a big shout out to all those watching on the M&N channel, as we're now seen in Manhattan simulcast live. And so for all of us here on the Set of Perspectives and Open, because that's my other show that's coming up in a little while, I got Perspectives and I also have Open now, Perspectives in just a minute. But listen, thank you for watching. Stay tuned. God bless.
The 7th Annual Dominican Film Festival kicked off at United Palace in Washington Heights with the premiere of El Fantasma de Mi Novia, or The Ghost of My Girlfriend.
Me siento súper bien porque después de una larga espera, más de un año de postproducción y después que salir los cines en Santo Domingo, Latinoamérica, uno se siente muy bien, ¿sabe? Ver la película en la pantalla.
The red carpet event included directors, producers, writers, and actors whose film is being featured in the festival. They spoke about what their film was about and what inspired them.
A Nice Guy was actually inspired by the statistics of domestic violence murders in Puerto Rico. And then Raqqa we did directly in response to the repeal of DACA. Instead of reassessing the accomplishments of undocumented children who are paying, we said, what if we instead reassess the accomplishments of people who have been here for more than 3 generations.
Es una comedia sobre una ama de casa de Miami que descubre a su marido es infiel y lo mata a la mañana en un fiestón que van a montar en su casa porque se acaba de ganar un premio y tiene que desembarazarse del cuerpo y lanzar la fiesta sin que nadie se entere que el hombre no está ahí.
I made this film because I want to show that society, they expect people to be and look a certain way, and it shouldn't be like that. Everybody is an individual.
This is the story of the gay marriage in Puerto Rico. How did it happen? Well, Puerto Rico is a colony of the United States. Therefore, they acquire the right to gays to be married that way.
People from the Latin community also came to show their support.
I feel like I represent the Latin community, so any opportunity I have to be in an event like this, supporting Latin people here in the U.S. especially, I mean, I'm more than happy to come and be a part of it.
I'm here because I want to support Dominican cinema, you know. I'm very proud of how far Dominican cinema has gone and the quality and everything. It's really something amazing.
Reporting for BronxNet, I'm Yesenia Ramos.